Here we are with the new Cage Warriors Featherweight Champion of the World, Mr. Jordan Vucenic. We've had every fucking variant of that. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Feeling like the champ, ready to defend the belt. So, however.
This is it. I mean, obviously, being within the gym is always the bias that, is always my guy. But again, when it comes to seeing what you put in when everyone's chatting on the match, you're there grinding, hitting the bag, everything else. How do you keep that level of focus and discipline, even when there's temptation to sort of slack and, take the bit of the foot off the pedal?
I mean, I think with me, it's just I've always had that burning desire, and I've always knew what I needed to do to be at the top, and the proof's in the pudding. I've put in the work. I've not cut any corners, and I'm here. I'm the world champion of Cage Warriors, something I set out to do a long time ago. So, if anything, it's just made me hungry. I'm ready to train even harder and push my levels even higher.
Now, one thing you said about that being the Cage Warriors champion, Clang, I'm going to keep saying it, and I'll make a very clear point of this, because again, this is a huge achievement, and again, there's no way to really appreciate how big this really is. But again, one thing about this, you were very sort of confident with yourself from the word go. Again, it was a surprise for everyone but you knew what this was going to be. You knew it was going to be as straightforward as it was. I say straightforward because, again, you got your plan, you followed it, you got the result, happy days. But what kept you in that confident headspace en route to the plan? Obviously, early days, it's a long way away from the starting point. What kept you consistent?
I just knew the work I was ready to put in. I just knew I was ready to push it more than these other people would. There's been hundreds, if not thousands, of people come in and tell me what they wanted to be in this sport, and I'd always just stuck in and chipped away, even when they all left, even when they said they wanted it, this crazy amount, and it was just always me at the end of the day that was there. I was like a cockroach with it, surviving everything. So. And yeah, I've got to this stage from it, so I know what I've got to keep doing as well to keep. I mean, I'm nowhere near the finished product. A lot of people are saying I'm UFC level, blah blah blah. I'm not even 20% of the fighter I'm gonna be.
Oh, I saw that, chills. I mean, this is something for perspective's sake. It's such a powerful moment because again, it's the high of this point you've got to right now. But again, there's still that further platform to get to, and again, the levels we've seen. Guys go from Cage Warriors and absolutely go to the top of the top in the UFC. You've seen guys at Cage Warriors who haven't quite got that point just yet. And I say that awareness about the next step up is even more important because, again, you can easily get the smoke up your ass and think, you know what, no one can stop me, no one can ever stop me. But again, I love how your approach to the fight is, again, you make a point, like we put about Sherry, I think the week of the fight, look how good my opponent is because it makes you look better when you beat them. Like, what's kept you, I don't know, not to over-respect your opponents? How do you keep that kind of, your own ability? How have you managed to retain that kind of attitude?
Again, like I said, it just goes back to the work I've put in. I mean, I was always that guy. When I first walked into the gym, people thought I'd already done something before. They thought I had a boxing background or a Muay Thai background. I'm just so obsessed with it, and I'm always watching. And I could watch a certain guy fight. I could go into the gym and I could replicate that straight away. And it's a crazy thing because for this fight, a lot of the other fights, I watch a certain fighter before. Maybe I watch a Peter Yan or I watch, I don't know, whoever. And for this one, I specifically said to my coach, I said, you know who I'm watching this time? I'm replicating. And it was myself on pads. So I just know how I want to look and how I want to be. And I know how good these guys are. Like you said, I did share a thing saying, look at my opponent. Remember how good he is when I beat him. Because there was no doubt in my mind that I weren't going to go in and win this world title. And whether it's I defend the belt or I move on or whatever, I know that it's going to be me getting my hand raised at the end of the fight.
And again, this is where it gets even more exciting. I like something you said there. So I think you realise how amazing that was. It's who you are. Because again, when it comes to watching other styles, you don't know where they started full stop. You don't know their personal stuff. Because again, their finished product is for all their specific personal, challenges and how they overcome them. And again, you're establishing your own style. You're establishing who you are. Obviously, it's always work in progress, always chipping away at different areas of your game. But as to say, you when you're relaxed on the pads, when you're at your peak in the gym, it makes 100% sense to try and be the best version of you than a B-Tech version of someone else. Absolutely spot on. And now, there's a few things I want to sort of go into, but when it comes to the intensity and the frequency you're training, how do you retain that sort of consistency and longevity with it? Because again, the amount of hours you're putting in, how do you recover? How do you keep fuel in the tank, essentially?
I mean, I think a lot of it is to do with just all the little things. Is micromanaging it all, making sure you're getting the right food in, making sure you're hitting certain goals in your training, and listening to your body and not burning out as much. I mean, I go to training every day. I make sure I'm there, but sometimes a lot of guys go to training and they're not present. I try to be present with certain things. I'm there. I'm present for the technique. I'm not there for the sparring or the hard work. I'm there for the technique to learn. If I feel good, I'm going to spar. If I don't, I'm not going to spar. As simple as that. You've got to listen to your body, and I think that's one of the things I do very well, and I've got a good team around me that listen to me. Sometimes I turn up to strength and conditioning, and I'll tell myself, look, I'm just going to push myself, and when I get there, Adam will tell me, oh, look, we're going to do an easy session today. I can see it in your face. So, I mean, if you look, I've tracked my food for 1,000 days plus now. I've literally written it down every day, so it's just micromanaging all these little things, and when you get into the sort of top of the sport, it is the small little things that make the massive difference.
It all adds up, and this is something I like a lot, because with Adam's approach, I think I've definitely benefited as well, where most coaches can just, beast you. Anyone could beast you, say, 1,000 burpees, there you go, you got a session sorted. But again, it's tapering off, it's prioritizing that this is meant to add to you, not break you down too much. And I like how you've managed to calibrate your body in the sense of, okay, I know when to push, I know when to take the gas off, and I like that a lot. Now, regards to the nutrition side of it, when it comes to a fight camp and everything else, again, the weight of the world on your shoulders now, literally. How do you stay consistent in that front of things? Because again, I know you like your Chinese, you like your treats and stuff. How do you moderate that sort of thing?
It is hard, but I'm just mentally strong with it, and going back to what I said before, I know what I've got to do to be the best in the world, and that is not eat the bad food. I mean, I'll sit down and eat a whole box of cereal in one sitting. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I can go really bad with food, but then again, I can just switch it off, and I can go 12 weeks without any bad food, no bother, because with the end goal, I know that's what I've got to do to get there. So, but I'm a foodie. I mean, after this, I'm going to go eat some good food. So, well, some nice food, not good food.
Why not both? I mean, Jordan Vucenic will go bowl for bowl with any featherweight in the world. Cereal for cereal. Lucky Charms, anyone wants that smoke, they can get it.
Reese's Puffs.
Oh, that's it. He's on smoke, don't worry about that. But this is the rest of it. It's what people don't seem to appreciate with Jordan, who he is. Because again, you get the sort of serious side where you see the hours in the gym, you see everything else, but again, he's still a person. Like, you take into account the amount of, how are you, 24, 25?
Just turned 25.
How many 25-year-olds who haven't got the discipline in their life anyway? People who just, they're like the pub, they're like seeing their mates. Again, they prioritise, there are other elements of their world. For someone like Jordan to double down on a dream to that extent, that consistency, like that sacrifice, again, this is why everyone, myself included, got so emotionally invested in your just career in general and that performance. Like that emotion, like how did it feel having that dream come just to life, like literally the belt around your waist, that visualization? What was it like compared to the expectation?
It was just crazy. It was just, I mean, you put so much into it, and you've invested so much time thinking that you're going to get there, and when you actually do get there, you sort of can't put it into words. When you get it, I was sort of took back by it. It sort of took me like 4 days after till I actually thought, actually, I'm the Cage Warriors World Champion now, and it's just crazy. Like, a lot of people say to me as well before I fight, it's crazy because you're just not scared when you go in there. I am scared. I'm shitting myself. There's a chance I'm about to get knocked out, but I know I've put in the work, and I've put in that much work, and I've put in 100% of my efforts. So the way I see it is, I'm not scared to lose. If I go in there and I get beat by him, it's the better man that's beat me on the night. I ain't got to be ashamed or anything like that. There's nothing I could have done different. So I think I go in with that sort of level of confidence as well. As I've done all I can do, so I'm just going to go in, and I know I'm naturally very good at the sport. So I've got all the things in my favour, so I've just got to go out and perform. And if I don't, something happens on the night, then back to it. I'm going to get straight back in the gym, I'm going to get straight back grafting, and I'll get back to where I was and more.
And will be. I mean, this is a lovely concept you sort of said there. Again, it's not wishing for the absence of fear, but the presence of courage. Again, it's not being fearless means you're naive, you don't know what's going on. You think, okay, walking my hands down, I'm not scared, but you can get knocked out regardless. Yeah. But again, you've got a kind of awareness, and again, the sort of the stoic kind of controlling what you can, letting go what you can't. But again, something there about the level of performance that you don't want your opponent not to show up that night. You want both you in your best top performance A game. Then we get a true representation of who really is better at this point. Absolutely love that. And again, there is just so much in this I absolutely love. And one thing, again, I'm going to bring this back sort of a bit more to why people should appreciate more of what you've done with this. it's not just what you've performed in your own career, it's what you've given back to the community as well, myself included. Again, like when I've come back from losses, you've been the one, that voice of reason that, you know, just keep chipping away, keep chipping away. And again, I put a post on Instagram the other day about this, that when someone like yourself, who we were trying to like, you know, look up to, trying to like mimic your structure, that now seeing you tangible results, fuck me, that is powerful. Seeing that, okay, what we're putting in, the hours you're putting in, like it all pays off. And again, we can't thank you enough for how you've given back to all of us as well. And when you're doing your one-to-ones, because again, this is something that is an interesting one, because it's not just PTs as such, they're people you're investing in. How do you find managing that when you've got your own fights to prioritize?
I mean, it is hard to manage because, again, I'm not one of those PTs that are just looking at you as a money source. I genuinely do want the best for you. If I'm training you, I genuinely do want you to look good on the pads, and I do want you to understand the concepts of MMA. So, I mean, it is hard, and towards the end of a fight, I mean, I do say to my guys, look, I'm not going to be able to train you now because I'm not going to be able to put in the effort that I need to put in with you to get you to a certain point. So, again, it is hard for my one-to-ones, and it's hard on my body as well because I really get invested in the one-to-ones with you, and I could easily just chuck you on the bags for 40 minutes and then do a little bit of pad work with you, but I do actually want the best for the guys. So it's hard trying to separate it, and as my career furthers, I'm not going to do as many. I've got my certain ones that I'm going to keep and keep moving forward with, but it's hard juggling it all, but I somehow always manage to do it between my girlfriend, the sport, and one-to-ones and everything. I mean, it is hard, and sometimes it gets a bit stressful, but I love the sport at the end of the day. So I'm teaching, and sometimes I'm teaching the stuff that I want to learn myself. I want to get my defense better, and my one-to-ones will be learning defense. So yeah, I can always use it to benefit me and them.
Definitely. Again, absolutely love that. And this is the whole point of this. This is why the sacrifice is so underappreciated. To say it's the bigger picture. Like if you try to say, would you do all this just for something you didn't really care about? No, of course not. You make the sacrifice, you make it work. If you want it, you find a way. If you don't, you find an excuse. And this is just that, it's embodied. And again, when it comes to making these sacrifices, again, like with your partner, again, your stepson, everything else, it's a lot to, again, it's a lot harder for people to appreciate to what it says to be away from your loved ones, to really seek this dream. Like, how did it feel coming back to celebrate at home with, you know, your family and everything else? It must have been such a powerful moment.
Yeah, and it was, and Regan always gets something for me for when I come back, and again, she's just got that confidence in me, but it's because she knows I'm there. I'm never there telling her. I'm always telling her the things that she thinks she should be hearing. I'm telling her I'm gonna win this. So she'll have the prints put back. When I got back this time, she had sort of wood carved saying Jordan Vucenic, featherweight world champion, 8-1 as my record, blah blah blah. And that just shows you the confidence that she's got. But she doesn't see the training side, all the hard work I put in, but she sees that, oh, you should just have something to eat. Nope, I'm not gonna. She sees I'm regimented. She sees that I'm tired. You should rest. Nope, I'm gonna go and do that run. She sees all these things. So I think she's got just as much confidence in myself as I do. And this fight, she said, I was just stoic the whole fight. I just knew you were going to win. I wasn't scared. Even though it was the hardest opponent you've had, the biggest puncher maybe, she weren't scared. She just knew I was going to go in and do what I'm going to do.
That's it. What's done in the dark gets shown in the light. And again, this is something so... Again, it wasn't just your win, it was everyone's win. Again, people who invested in you, people seeing what you've done. Again, people who've been with you directly, indirectly. Again, even social media, people who follow your journey. Again, it's very inspiring to see someone who genuinely works that hard. Because again, you know, social media, yeah, everyone's the hardest worker and everyone does that. But people who actually do it, it's so nice to see them reap the rewards. And even then, like, so this massive milestone in your career, at what point do you sort of put this to one side? At what point do you stop smelling the roses of everything you've dreamed for to then pursue the next stage? How do you, I don't know, manage this massive milestone and then still have that motivation to keep climbing the hill?
It's there. It's been managed. It's done. It's been put in. I was the world champion. Now I've got to make sure I stay the world champion. There's no hanging around on it now. It's straight back to work. And the line at the top of the hill, the line on its way up's a lot more hungry. So I've got another hill to climb. So don't think I've got to the top of the hill and I'm resting. I've got that next hill to climb, and that's how I'm always going to be. I'm always going to be hungry, straight back to it. I got a telling off from a missus because I was straight back in the gym, wanting to hit the bag, wanting to get stronger, get faster. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just straight back to it. This is nowhere near the end goal for me. This was just the start of the journey, and now I've got to defend it, and I've got to move on, and I've got to All newcomers. I've got to beat all newcomers. That's how it's got to be.
I mean, this is, again, a very interesting paradigm shift in that transition from Cage Warriors, the top of the rung there, to the bottom rung in the UFC. I was to say, you know, when things get announced, made public, and then things get finalised, I say we're not sure what's next for you officially. We don't know if it's going to be someone title defence or it's going to be UFC next. Who knows? I mean, I know what I prefer for you, but, you know, we want to see our friends go as far as we can, don't we? Now, we could talk about the fight itself. There's a few things in there you said sort of before the conversation. I thought it was quite a funny one to go into. So when it comes to end of rounds, you tend to go to the corner. You tend to get the advice. First round, you want walkabouts. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was just in the moment, and looking back at it now, I think, why did I even do that? But I was just in the moment, so I got my drink from my corner team. I said, how's that? I'm all right, yeah? And I just walked away from them. And they must have been in the corner bewildered, thinking, where's this guy gone? Almost walked over to Charrier's corner. I was off that way. And you hear Dan Hardy say it in the commentary. He says, Jordan's in his own corner here, giving himself the advice. But I just wanted to keep the momentum going. I just wanted to keep that. I mean, like I said, I treated it like I was in sparring. And in sparring, in between rounds, we go walkabouts. We just walk. We get ready for the next round. And that's exactly how I was feeling. I was so in the moment that it was almost like I was sparring.
I mean, when it comes to the sparring at BST and Fourth Dimension, other places you go to, again, there's very different environments and they're very different sort of styles you come across. But the nature of fight simulation, the actual fight intensity, again, you've spoken about, obviously privately, about certain sparring instances you've been to where it's basically like a fight essentially you're getting paid for. Yeah. Like, how do you prepare for a world title fight for that kind of intensity and that kind of pace? Because again, in there, you didn't seem stressed, you seemed composed, but still put the pressure on. How did you find that kind of pace and tempo?
It just suited me perfect, I think. I mean, I could get into wars all the time in the gym if I really wanted to. I've got that mentality where if I really wanted to have the fight and hurt people in sparring, I could. But I know when to turn it on, when to turn it off. So when I get in there, I'm not scared at all. I'm just always staying switched on. That's how you need to be. You need to be sharp, you need to be fast, and you need to be switched on when you're in there. And when you see the kill, you've got to go for it. But yeah, I was just pit-pattering away at him, just landing my little shots. But I always knew I could. I mean, looking that fight, I hadn't even got out of second gear. I could have went third, fourth, fifth, if I wanted to. But I'm just going to do just enough to edge it. What's the point? I mean, and again, it's like what strong men do in the competition. Sometimes they lift, they win. They could lift heavier, but they've won, so they saved themselves. And that's how I sort of went around about this fight. I was doing just enough to win, and even like the fifth round, I thought, right, you might have got those last 2 rounds against me. So the fifth round, if you watch it, I stay on my spot, I throw, because I'm not scared to do that with these guys, to sit and trade 1 for 1. I'm not scared to do that of anybody, no matter what level they're at.
And again, something that's always been quite admirable about yourself, again, when it comes to being one of the best in the gym and everything else, it's one of those, it's hard to still have that beginner mindset. And again, being the champion as well, all the people like the woodwork coming out of nowhere saying, you know, we always believed in you, think, okay, where have you been? But never mind. Yeah. That's another thing in itself. How do you keep level-headed and keep that beginner mindset, that I need to listen and need to be open-minded when you're already succeeding and getting the results?
I think that just comes from my own experiences in the gym. I've had guys that technique-wise are terrible, but I'll watch them do something and I'll think, bloody hell, what did he just do there? And it can click into my game. So you can always learn from different people in the gym. Guys that are lower ranked than you, guys that you would smash on the mats. You, for instance, I mean, how many times have you turned around to me at the end of maybe a roll, I've submitted you once or twice, and you say, have you ever seen this, blah, 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 and you show me, do I ever once say to you, oh, go on then, mate, or walk away from you or anything like that? Now, always sit, because sometimes you will show me something and I'll think, oh, shit, yeah. So you can always learn from everybody, and that's where a lot of fighters go wrong, I think. They get to the point where they don't come to the classes anymore. They do all their own training because they think they're better than everybody else. And I think that's where you're going to become unstuck. I think you need to always just be I mean, look, I'll be the UFC Featherweight World Champion, and I'll be doing the MMA, the normal MMA class with first-timers just walking in. I mean, that's not to say I'll spar with the first-timers, but I'll definitely share the mats with them. That's just how I am.
And again, I can definitely testament to this, because when you're in there and you're with people who are absolutely annihilating you, for them to turn around and literally sincerely and be coachable and literally say, okay, I'll show you this, and they will listen. Jordan will listen when I say this stuff. And again, it might not be relevant to his game, it might be absolutely game-changing, but again, he gives it that same attention, and that kind of thing is so impactful. And again, we'll talk about some of the coaches you've been working with and how they've influenced your game. Obviously, JB, long-term sort of coach for yourself, and again, building that rapport with him. What sort of relationship do you have with JB when it comes to the corner time? Because when it comes to the trilogies, it's not just a show up on the day, go home afterwards. It's about a week's process. It's a long-winded thing, energy. What is he like on those sort of times?
He's bang on. I can't fault him at all, really. And that was our third trilogy we've done together, and we have to spend 5 days in a hotel with each other and all this thing. So we're constantly on each other, and he's good for just anything I need, he'll get it. Anything I want doing done, he'll do it. So he's been perfect with it all. And even like pad work, I'll say to him, I want to hit pads. He'll be taking me on pads. I'll say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And that's not a disrespect thing to him. He just knows that when I'm in the zone, that it's my time and this is what I want to drill because this is the way I see the fight going and blah, blah, blah. And then when we get back to training in the normal, I'm not going to do stuff like that. I might say, I want to work this a little bit, but I let him take control of all the pads. And that's how you got to be. You've got to be open-minded, but then at the same time know what you want from your coaches.
When this is the thing with different styles, and again, I've spoken about this before, when it comes to the corners, you earn the corners, you earn that relationship, you put that time in. Again, this isn't just he's tagging along for the occasion. No, every Saturday morning you're always there, every other day you're always there. And again, this is something you've put in that time. And again, other coaches like Danny and Raymond and also Lucas Lepianka, they're very individual relationships, and how you manage them and how you get out of that is so much more interesting. Like, for example, how do you compare Danny on Fight Week versus JB on Fight Week?
So Danny's just away in his little bubble. I mean, this time it was good, but I mean, my Cage Warriors debut, Danny, before the fight said to me, I'll be back in 10 minutes, and he come back 4 hours later, right before the fight. So this is just part and parcel of your coaches. You've got JB that will stay there and who won't leave your side, and you've got Danny who'll come wandering in 10 minutes before you're about to fight. So it's just part and parcel of your coaches, and if you know your coaches well, you've just got to take that. Sometimes they're going to be there for you, sometimes they're not, but just try and make sure you've got someone there for you the whole time.
But even saying that, though, in the corner, how is Danny to sort of make up for his absence prior to that?
I mean, yeah, he's like this the whole way through, then as soon as you get in there, he's switched on. I mean, in the last fight, I've got my striking coach, my grappling coach, and my main head coach, Danny, and he said all these things, and my striking coach, JB, looked at me and went, yep. My grappling coach, Lucas, went, yeah, because Danny said it all. So when he gets in the corner, he's one of the best in the world at being in the corner. It's just the whole, getting him to it is the problem.
And the thing with Lucas Lepianka, again, the way his approach has been so different, I think, in your preparation, and even outside of the actual camp side of things, how have you felt his coaching has changed your game and your sort of perspective on the sport?
I think massively as well, because I mean, I'm always at training to get the best out of myself I can, but I mean, at the same time, I enjoy it. And sometimes it's good to have Lucas there to reel you back in a little bit. He'll look at me and I'm talking, and he'll give me the old dirty look, and then I'll be talking again, then he'll look at me and say, oh, burpees now, 20 burpees. I think, oh. So sometimes he makes me switched on. Sometimes my partner's talking to someone else, and I'll sit back and I'll go, Lucas. I'll point, whoa, it's not me talking, and he'll still get me to do the burpees. So it just makes me and my training partners I'm with be more switched on, and a lot of the guys are starting to work with him more and more, and our games are completely changing from him.
I mean, there's a lot with Lucas's style. I really like a sort of neo-traditional kind of thing, because with traditional martial arts, it's very much bow sensei. Everyone's very organised. It's so strict. Whereas MMA being quite a new sport, a little bit more informal, we kind of chat a bit more. It's a bit more laid back, but then we switch on in those kind of instances. But to have Lucas sort of getting that, I don't know, the old school discipline and respect, kind of don't speak when coach is speaking, that kind of stuff. I like the way he's brought us back around to that. And again, have you found the isolation work he's been doing with you, like saying you can't get certain subs or prioritising certain things, have you found that beneficial to your game?
I mean, yeah, it just changes the game. Like, for anybody that don't know, so Lucas will be teaching you a Kimura, and he'll be teaching you a guillotine, and he'll tell you in your training, you're only allowed to Kimura, you're only allowed to guillotine, nothing else. And if he sees you doing anything else, he's going to tell you off and blah, blah, blah. So it does just change the game completely, because you're not using your go-tos anymore. I mean, I've got a very good Japanese necktie and Darce game. Yep. Yeah. And he's just, no, you're not using that anymore. I mean, when I first met him, I said guillotine everybody, and he said, oh... This is one of the first things he said, and I always remember. He said, you like guillotine? You're guillotine? I said, yeah, I like guillotine. He went, your guillotine is? And I'm smuggler. And he's going to say, he went, shit. And I was like, oh, he went, your guillotine is shit. And now, thinking back to it, my guillotine was shit, because I would lose position trying to chase the guillotine. I mean, there was a point in the Sharia fight where I went to sort of start locking up a anaconda position. He went, no, no, and I just let go straight away because I trusted my coaches. If I thought I had something sunk in and I thought I could get the finish from it, and they screamed to me saying, no, 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 let go, I would let go. There'd be no hesitation, I would let go, just because I've got that amount of trust in my coaches.
And again, when you're in there, it's hard to see the bigger picture from what's going on and certain things like that. And again, that maturity as well to understand, like, nah, I know better than my coach who's been a black belt for X amount of years under Robert Drysdale. Actually, wait a minute, on second thought, maybe he's got something. But I like that a lot. I like the way you've been open-minded to that style. And thankfully for my neck as well, it's been quite nice. You've adapted to that. But my legs have to sort of pick up the slack. That's the same. So I won't keep you too long. There's a few questions I want to end on, the sort of ones I ask everyone. First one is, here are your situation. You're about to walk up your world title fight. Big moment for you. In walks you. What do you say to yourself to keep you in the best headspace to perform to your best of your abilities?
You know what work you've put in and you know what you're going to go and do, so go out there and do it. That's exactly what I'd say.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. That's what I would have said, yeah.
This is it. You can tell from the sort of fluidity of the performance. The next question I've got, post-fight, belt around your waist, what's in the delivery basket, what's in the Chinese order? Talk to me.
What isn't in the basket is the question. I mean, I've had all the chocolate, all the stuff there ready, and when I got back, I've had Chineses, KFCs, I've had it all, but I'm sick of it already. I'm ready to get back to the broccoli and chicken.
Dean Kirk, you hear that here? I think he says it with chest, but I'm not too sure. We'll get there afterwards. And the last question, day one beginner, walks in the gym, full of beans, wants to learn everything. What's the rule of thumb you give them to sort of get started on the journey on the right foot?
Train as hard as you can and don't let anybody put a limit on where you can and can't go in the sport. As long as you turn up, you train and you work hard, then no one can tell you what you can be or can't.
So yeah, again, you're saying there about when it comes to beginner's advice, it's such a tricky one because again, you know how it goes. You've got your biggest dreams in the world, but you haven't got any skills just yet. You haven't got any sort of plans. It's just, I want this massive goal. And again, that kind of consistency is so hard to find. And now, before we wrap things up, is there anyone you want to give a special shout out to? Any sponsors you want to give a shout to?
Yes, so all my sponsors, I mean, I really couldn't do this without my sponsors, all the support I get from them, new, old, new ones that are going to come in the future. But I've got Booster Fight Gear. They've always sorted my fight gear. I mean, I had loads of brands come into me and asking for me to wear their stuff on the main event, but I stayed loyal to them. Cher Wilson Stand Tan. She was literally my day one sponsor, the first one I ever had. But I didn't obviously have a tan for this fight. Gutted out my nut because they're obviously closed.
To make up for it.
Yeah, Zoe Kennedy at the food station, another local Corby business. I mean, they jumped on. They helped me with funds for the fight and just helped me be able to get the best training I could. I've got TR Scaffold, again, same thing. I've got TR Scaffold, Bailey Skips. These were two big companies that come in and we're looking to go long term with it. But these guys just made sure I could get all these extra one-to-ones in. I could train with all the best guys. I didn't have to sort of manage my time and money as much. I had a lot more free roam with it, and that was a massive part, Bailey's and TR Scaffold. Carvin Security, again, he's always just kept me with a constant flow, being able to train constantly and always phoning me and make sure I'm okay, all of these things. Skin City sorted my tattoos. I mean, I've still got some pretty wank tattoos, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Those tattoos the wank ones weren't done at Skin City. They're salvages. Make that very clear.
He salvaged them, yeah. He's made them sort of half presentable. I can't wait to get back in with him when everything's back open and get some fresh ink on me and get covered. And yeah, I can't really think of any. So
the list seems to be going on a lot. We'll send the list over afterwards, put them on everything up. Yeah. But again, I'll say this time and time again, when fighters talk about the sponsors, please support them, follow their stuff, like their stuff, because again, if Jordan's got a platform to then perform and train fully, he can perform to the level he is at now. If he hasn't got that funding, it's not financially viable. He can't do that. He's got to work a shitty job. He's got to find hours somewhere else.
And another thing. All the sponsors trying to get after me, trying to get after the guys that are sort of getting to the top of the sport, don't worry about sponsoring us as much. Try sponsor some of the guys that are coming up. Some of the guys that need the sponsors more than how we need them. Your CBD sponsors, all these sort of sponsors, help the guys that are on their way up. Because that's when you need the sponsors. That's when the help matters. You could be the sponsor that makes them think, yeah, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So don't be afraid to sponsor guys that it might be the risk or the gamble. The guys on the way up, they're the guys you should be sponsoring.
Beautifully said. Again, you're investing in the person, not in the profile. Again, it's a bigger thing. And again, if Jordan didn't have that support early days, who knows where he'd be right now? He wouldn't be able to have work some sort of job, being like in a warehouse or something like this, making the hours up. And again, all the credit to you. Okay, massive shout out to our podcast sponsor, the English Hypnotist. And again, I've spoken to this, made a post about this. When it comes to the mental side of performing, albeit business, albeit work, whatever it is, you can have your own mental block, self-sabotage, and it can get in the way of everything. Or you can have a clear, strong mindset. And again, Richard is so good for this. You can find out hurdles you're getting caught by, obstacles. And again, it's not even like a developmental thing. It's not a treatment thing as well. It's a progression thing. You can really take steps up in your performance. I can't recommend it enough, the English Hypnotist. And also we've got Fisticuffs rash guards, Ralitudas in stock. We've got hybrid shorts en route and a special surprise en route as well at some point. We're going to release that in the near future. But until then, thank you very much for your time, Jordan. Enjoy being champ. Long may it continue.